Factories and workshops are always full of movement, noisy machines, heavy equipment, and products being transported make the environment full of risks. As much as workers are used to it, any carelessness can turn a calm routine into real chaos. Small mistakes, poorly positioned parts, or equipment under pressure can cause accidents that nobody expected. Those are the accidents you will see today. It was morning when the employees at the RSL battery factory in Hwaseong, South Korea, started their shift like any other day. No one imagined that, a few hours later, that warehouse would turn into an inferno. A strange noise, like popcorn popping, was the first sign that something was wrong. In a matter of seconds, flames took over the second floor, where there were about 35,000 lithium cells. The fire spread so fast that many workers, most of them foreign, could not escape. The heat was absurd, and, to make it worse, toxic smoke spread even before the fire reached some sectors. When the firefighters arrived, they realized they could not use water because lithium reacts violently. They had to dump dry sand to try to contain the fire, which took many hours of intense and dangerous work. Internal cameras recorded the moment when the employees tried to get out, but the exits were confusing and poorly signposted. After the disaster, it was discovered that the company did not have proper safety training. The owner, Park Soon-kwon, ended up sentenced to 15 years in prison. His son, who was also an executive, received the same sentence. The day seemed calm inside the workshop when an employee started unloading a huge steel coil from a truck. He was there, steady, with the overhead crane remote in his hand, thinking it would be just another normal job. But out of nowhere, the steel cable decided to take a vacation and snapped right in the middle of the process. The coil, which weighed more than a small car, plummeted to the floor with a crash that made everyone stop what they were doing. Luckily, the worker was at a good distance. He jumped back faster than a cat when it hears a vacuum cleaner. The scare was big, but no one got hurt. The worst part is that if the man had been one step closer, the ending would have been totally different. The roll fell right into the empty space of the workshop and only left the floor dented and the operator's heart racing. It was very early when the noise shook everything in Quatro Barras, Brazil. The NX Brazil factory, which produces explosive materials for mining, turned into a war zone in seconds. The blast was so strong that residents kilometers away thought it was an earthquake. Inside the building, 11 employees were working, but only 2 managed to get out alive. Building 44, where the accident began, handled the mixing of highly sensitive substances, such as pentolite and trinitrotoluene. According to forensic experts, friction from one of the mixer's blades against hardened material because of that morning's cold may have been the trigger for the tragedy. The worst part is that the equipment had already been corroded and having temperature problems for a long time. The employees themselves complained about it in internal messages. Police ruled out a crime, but pointed to serious failures in safety and equipment maintenance. The company said it regretted what happened and promised to cooperate with the investigations. Meanwhile, the city is trying to recover from the scare, and many people still talk about how hard it was to see the place where so many worked turn to dust in a matter of seconds. The day seemed calm at the maintenance workshop in Santo André, Brazil, until an employee decided to fill a fire extinguisher like he always did. It was a simple job, nothing major, one of those that become routine. But suddenly, the cylinder decided to have a mind of its own. With a loud snap, the equipment exploded and turned into a rocket inside the room. The man got the fright of his life. He dropped everything and ran out without even looking back. The noise was so loud that the folks in the warehouse next door thought some heavy part had fallen. Luckily, no one was hurt. The video ended up going around the internet, and many people said that after seeing that, they will think twice before filling any extinguisher on their own. At White Farms, in Switz City, Indiana, the afternoon was going smoothly until the corn silo decided to make headlines. The huge reservoir, filled to the brim, simply collapsed. The tank came down with such force that it hit the power lines, and in seconds, the corn turned into sparks. Grain dust caught fire and turned the place into a show of flames that nobody wanted to watch up close. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the damage was heavy. The burned corn, the floor covered in ash, and the smell of smoke were the reminders of the day the silo decided to fall without warning. At the marble tile factory, the day seemed ordinary until a huge stack of blocks decided to move. The noise was so loud that everyone stopped what they were doing. One of the workers ended up trapped when the pieces suddenly collapsed, knocking everything down in their path. The ground shook and dust rose. It even looked like a small explosion. Colleagues ran desperately to help the guy, but he was pinned between the blocks and the structure. After the scare passed, the employees tried to understand what made the stack collapse. Some said the stacking was too high, others blamed the uneven floor. What is certain is that everyone left that day with an important reminder. Marble is beautiful, but when it decides to fall, it weighs more than end-of-month problems. The shift was going smoothly inside the home appliance factory's warehouse. Boxes stacked up to the ceiling, machine noise, and that back and forth typical of people who know the job by heart. Until a forklift driver ended up brushing the machine against one of the huge shelves full of brand new boxed products. The touch was light, but the damage not so much. The structures started to sway, and in seconds it looked like the entire warehouse was going to collapse. Boxes fell one after another, like a domino effect, only on an industrial scale. The driver was startled, but got lucky. That protective cage on the forklift did its job and absorbed the hit without collapsing. Everything seemed normal in a machine shop full of large, noisy equipment, when suddenly, one of them decided to have a bad day. The worker was just walking by, calm, when the gigantic machine made a bang that sounded like a scene from a cheap action movie. Right then, pieces of metal went flying everywhere. The man, who was in the path of the mess, was thrown to the floor like a rag doll. But, to the surprise of those who saw it, he got up quickly, a bit dizzy, with the look of someone who just wanted to understand what had happened. The accident was in an industrial warehouse where noise is already routine, only this time it was different. The explosion caught everyone off guard. Apparently, it was an operational failure in one of the pieces of equipment, the kind of mistake nobody expects, but when it happens it leaves everyone with their heart in their mouth. Despite the scare, it seems the worker escaped uninjured, and the worst part is that if he had taken 2 more steps, the story could have been very different. In the factory, where the pressure is constant and the machines never stop, a small mistake can turn into a big problem. During a routine activity, 2 workers were handling an iron bar. What seemed like a simple task took an unexpected turn. The man in blue, trying to adjust the bar, ended up making an awkward move. The piece shifted and fell directly on the foot of his coworker, the one in pink. The scene, recorded by the factory's security cameras, quickly spread. Many were shocked by the incident. Nobody knows exactly if the injury was serious, but the pain was very evident. And of course, this kind of accident always raises an alert in industries which need to pay attention to safety details to keep these scares from becoming even more serious. In the auto shop, the sound of tools mixed with the smell of oil and hot rubber. One of the employees, focused on the job, was inflating a tire that was lying on the floor. It seemed like a simple task, one he probably did every day. Everything was normal until the tire decided to show who was boss there. Without warning, the compressed air built up too much pressure and the tire exploded with a bang like a grenade. The impact was so strong that it kicked up dust and made everyone back away. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the scare was collective and unforgettable. After the noise died down, the mechanics tried to understand what had happened. Some said the tire was already damaged, others thought it had gone past the air limit. The fact is that that day became shop legend, and the worst part is that now everyone inflates tires from a distance, afraid of becoming headline news in the company group again. In an Ambev warehouse, what seemed like a quiet routine turned into a big problem. A worker operating a forklift found himself in the middle of a real mess. Apparently, a stack of poorly stacked boxes was to blame. The boxes, placed crookedly, collapsed in an unexpected domino effect, causing a rain of beer bottles all over the floor. The most impressive thing was the damage. Beers falling from all sides, soaking everything and making that sound of breaking glass that nobody likes to hear. The scene left many employees in the area slack-jawed, while the forklift operator tried unsuccessfully to control the situation and minimize the mess. Everything seemed under control inside the tea factory until the elevator became a problem. An employee walked in calmly with his electric pallet jack, picked up the load, and left as the manual says. The problem came right after, when another worker who was also driving a pallet jack tried to do the same. He went in, picked up the load that was there, but when it was time to leave, the elevator decided to close at the exact moment he was still maneuvering. He was stuck in the doorway, unable to go forward or back. The worst part is that besides being jammed, the worker still had to wait for help to get out of that jam. Many who saw the situation said it was a mix of bad luck and a failure in the elevator's automatic system, which apparently did not detect that there was still something inside the compartment. Factories may seem like calm places, full of routine and machines working just right, but any carelessness or mishap can turn into a big scare. It is easy to underestimate the risks when dealing with heavy equipment every day. That is what happened at a factory when a worker was operating a forklift. Everything seemed normal until the machine tipped and fell on its side. Inside the cab, he was startled, but luckily he was not hurt. He managed to get out of the forklift on his own, still shaking from the scare. Colleagues watched, relieved that no one was injured, and the situation quickly became the talk of the entire factory. It was another ordinary day in a factory, full of people and with a lot of metal everywhere. The workers were on top of a giant metal structure and everything seemed fine, only suddenly, one of them decided to climb the ladder carrying something in his hands. With no way to hold on properly, the guy was relying only on his feet and one hand to manage, and you could already tell this would end badly. Unable to hold on, the worker lost his balance and fell from the top of the structure. The fall was ugly. In the same second, colleagues dropped what they were doing and ran to help the fallen man, trying to stabilize him until help arrived. What was supposed to be just another normal day inside a factory turned into a real ordeal. An employee ended up being run over by a forklift while working between giant coils. He was focused in the middle of the sector when the forklift driver went straight and hit him without even noticing. In the footage from the internal cameras, you can see the exact moment when the worker is crushed by the loads. He falls to the floor in pain, while the forklift operator, visibly nervous, jumps down to help. The problem, according to employees, was total inattention by the driver. No one knows if he got distracted by his phone or simply did not see him, but the scare was big and served as a warning to everyone. Everything was going fine in the warehouse until an employee decided to drive the forklift through a tighter space than he should have. He was carrying a huge box, one of those that barely fit in the aisle. The problem came when he tried to force his way through. The load hit the side of the shelf, and that was it. It was the trigger for chaos. In seconds, the structure swayed and collapsed, knocking down boxes, sacks, and even stacked barrels. Dust took over the environment. Some workers ran thinking it was a real earthquake. The forklift driver stopped right away, frightened by the accident. Many said he was trying to save time by cutting through, but ended up causing a headache for everyone. The cleaning crew took many hours to handle the mess. The good thing was that no one got hurt in that whole crash. Working in factories and workshops requires constant attention. Between noisy machines, heavy equipment, and repetitive tasks, any carelessness can turn a normal day into a tense moment. That is what happened at a tire shop in Manuel Ribas, in the central region of Paraná State, Brazil. An employee was sitting on a truck tire, chatting with colleagues when, suddenly, the tire exploded. The scare was big, but luck was on the worker's side. He suffered only minor injuries. Emergency services were called quickly, provided first aid, and took him for medical care. Despite the situation, the guy managed to recover without major complications. The incident served as a warning for everyone at the tire shop. Even tasks that seem routine can turn into a serious problem if attention is not doubled. Equipment under pressure, such as truck tires, requires extreme care, well-defined procedures, and proper tools. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.